What's going on, everyone? In today's video, we're going to be diving into the latest news on the Federal Reserve rate hike meeting. Yeah, big updates on that one. And we're also going to be breaking down the interest rate decision, discussing peak interest rates, and exploring what this could mean for the economy. Will there be a recession or not? The answer might surprise you, but I got you guys covered with all the information that you need. But that's not all. We're also talking about the latest buzzword in the job market called rage applying. Have you guys heard of that? Yeah, it's crazy, guys. Get a load of this.
Apparently, we're seeing something called rage applying. What is this and what do you know about it?
This is where potential employees are really frustrated over, they may not have got the job they wanted. They may not have got the compensation they wanted. And this means rapidly applying for a number of jobs within a day, a week. Not only are they getting a new job, they're getting a hefty raise. And so they're saying to people, if you don't like your employer, get out. I think you owe your employer maybe a conversation. But it is a red flag to future employers if you just are a serial hopper.
Quiet firing, career cushioning, and now rage applying. I mean, seriously, guys, these people, the mainstream media, they're just running out of ways to pin the blame on working class Americans, right? I mean, they're basically just talking about people quitting their jobs to find a better one that pays more. And now they're trying to say that we owe our employers a conversation. Are you serious? Did they owe hundreds of thousands of workers a conversation before getting laid off? I mean, are these people serious? I mean, you don't hear about CEOs owing each and every employee a conversation when they just up and decide to lay off a massive chunk of their workforce, do you? I would love to see how a CEO, manager, corporate would react if you say to them, bruh, you're just rage firing. Calm down. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you guys think? Drop me a quick comment down below. And of course, they bring up the so-called experts to talk about, always the same person. But this time it's not the CEO, but the Chief Executive Humanity Officer of Delivering Happiness, Jen Lim. Chief Executive Humanity Officer? I mean, I swear they're just making up these titles at this point. Now, we're also going to be taking a closer look at the hype that these people are trying to push, as well as really talk about the problem at hand here. Companies and tech giants just aren't paying their people enough. Can I get an amen, guys? All right, but let's go ahead and get into this. Oh, and for the best way to invest in gold, gold just passed $2,000 an ounce. Make sure to check out the link in the description down below for the best way to invest in gold. So the Federal Reserve just bumped up interest rates by 0.25%, which means the Fed funds rate is now at 5.0%. Crazy, right? Now, it wasn't that long ago that interest rates were practically at zero, hovering between 0 and 0.25%. The Fed decided to hike up interest rates to fight inflation. They believe that if they increase interest rates, it'll slow down the economy, which will kill demand and bring down inflation. But it's also going to kill off a whole lot of jobs, a whole lot of markets, the housing market, the car market. Have you guys seen car dealers? The stock market? So anyway, the Fed recently updated their economic projections, and they're expecting peak interest rates to hit 5.25%. All to supposedly beat inflation. Now, I just want to take a moment to bring this up. Isn't it convenient how politicians never bring up government spending as a cause of inflation? I mean, that's something that you don't hear from them very often, is it? Now, let me tell you what's up with Jerome Powell. Now, if you guys remember, he testified before Congress, and the market was pretty sure that the Fed would raise interest rates today by 0.5%. Now, the odds were overwhelmingly high, like 80% chance of this happening. But after the recent bank collapses, the market has changed its mind. They no longer believe that the interest rates need to go up to 5.75% because it created a tough enough environment for the banking sector. Banks, big banks, small banks, regional banks, you name it, they got used to a 0% interest rate environment, which meant money was super cheap. They didn't have to pay depositors any money in the form of interest to keep their money in the bank. But now they can't get away with that anymore. Now, if you look at savings accounts or CDs, banks can't get away with paying 0% interest anymore. If not, people are just going to pull their money out and leave that bank. Why? Because other banks are offering higher interest rates. So they'll just pull out their money from one bank and stick it into another bank with higher interest rate. Now, on the other hand, if the banks themselves want to borrow money, it's going to become much more expensive. And the cost of capital has gone up dramatically. So the days of cheap and easy money for the banks, they're long gone. The rising interest rates are also causing damage to the economy. We won't get official data until April 27th, but GDP is expected to slow down. We don't know yet if it's going to go negative or not, but opinions are all over the place. And there's debate about whether we'll actually have a soft landing, a crash landing, or no landing at all. Unemployment is expected to rise, the labor market is still tight, and that's contributing to wage inflation. But with higher interest rates, unemployment is expected to increase. We already saw an uptick in the unemployment rate in February from 3.4% to 3.6%. The housing market is also feeling the effects. Mortgage interest rates, they're expected to stay elevated. 30-year fixed rate has been floating around the 6 to 7% range. We're not going back to 3% mortgage rates anytime soon. Relief is expected, though, in the last few months of 2023. Anyway, the economy is hurting, especially in the interest rate sensitive sectors like the housing market and the banking sector. But the Fed had to raise interest rates. Otherwise, they would have just straight up lost credibility. Inflation is still running at 6%, and they needed to take some action. All I know for sure is that this is definitely going to be a wild ride. People are calling it a pandemic, like the Fed planned all along to cause all of these problems for the economy, all to get a hold of inflation. They're saying that the crunch could lead to a tighter credit condition for households and for businesses, which might very well further affect the economy negatively. Now, one thing is for sure, the Fed is expecting unemployment to rise as they cool the economy in order to fight inflation. And so this could mean over 1 million more Americans will be out of work by the end of 2023. 1 million people. But Jerome Powell says that it's a risk that they're willing to take to bring down inflation to 2%. Sure, he can do that. It's not his life or livelihood on the line, is it? The Senate hearing on financial services and general government with Janet Yellen, it really did not help to calm things down either. She mentioned the possibility of future bank runs, and they're calling for, a larger guarantee on deposits. But Jerome Powell, he assured everyone that all depositors' savings are safe. Despite all this, there's still more news to come. Norway and Switzerland have already hiked interest rates, and the Bank of England is expected to do so too. The Fed will also be publishing its balance sheet update, so investors will be keeping a very close eye, a very close watch on any banks talking about emergency loans. Bank collapse alert. Plus, there's new home sales, there's mortgage rates, and weekly job loss claims to look forward to. Yay, right? Seriously, right? But anyway, hold on to your hats, folks. Better yet, hold on to that subscribe button and make sure your notification bell's turned on. You do not want to miss out on any future updates. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised to see gold go up to $2,100, maybe $2,200. Be sure to hit the link in the description down below for the best way to invest in gold. Now, with this economy and the state of affairs, can you really blame people for looking for a better paying job? I mean, seriously, right? But no, what does mainstream media do? Oh, they try to blame it on the little guy. They try to come up with these little new buzzwords to make regular working class Americans the bad guy. Can you believe this? I mean, check out this supposed expert that they brought in, Chief Executive Humanity Officer Jen Lim.
Their name is Jen Lim, and they are the CEO, but not just regular CEO. They're the Chief Executive Humanity Officer at their own company called Delivering Happiness.
It's the latest job buzzword. Ever heard of rage applying? No? Well, I'm about to school you. Actually, Jen Lim she is the CEO of Delivering Happiness.
Good morning.
What in the world is that?
People are just getting tired, disengaged, disgruntled, unhappy, and they're really wanting to, being more vocal about getting what they're worth.
Yeah. Chief Executive Humanity Officer. That's a totally made up title right there. I wouldn't be surprised if the CEO had a sister-in-law or something that needed a job and said, hey, I'm just going to make this up for you, pay you like $200,000 a year, and here you go. Anyway, you guys can just call me the supreme overlord of financial freedom and media truth, Ron Yates. I'm just making up titles too, right? All kidding aside though. But yeah, it just goes to show the type of thing that's been going on since the beginning of labor and employment. Workers asking for better livable wages. Companies trying to make them look bad for doing so. I mean, seriously? I mean, it's very hard to write about new things in business media when every day is the same old exploitation. I mean, am I right, guys? Thanks to social media and digital networking platforms, job hunting has become that much easier. And so that is why companies are trying to discourage it with these new scary sounding buzzwords like rage applying. Really, all rage applying really is when somebody applies for a job out of frustration with their current job or employer. I mean, who here hasn't been so frustrated or just straight up pissed off with their boss that they just started checking out job listings? I mean, am I right? If your boss pissed you off all the time, wouldn't you look for a new job? These managers and corporate executives really don't value their people. No wonder more and more people are feeling burned out. I think a lot of us could relate here. When your people start leaving en masse, maybe don't attack them and see it as a possible sign of a toxic work environment that makes employees want to move on to greener pastures. Employers need to understand why an applicant is applying for a job. I mean, rage applying isn't really a negative sign. Sometimes job seekers have legitimate reasons for wanting to leave their current job, like seeking better pay. What is wrong with applying for a job, and what's your reason for wanting to work here? Well, I want to make more money. Are y'all paying more? Like, why should an employee or an applicant be afraid or ashamed to say that the reason why they want to work there is because they think that they're going to get paid more? How about growth opportunities or maybe even better work-life balance? I mean, you really can't blame them for that, can you? Actually, career experts suggest that job seekers keep their options open and apply for jobs regularly, regardless of their current job situation. I have to agree with that too. Really, it's a matter of knowing your worth and staying in the loop about job openings. Just really building your professional network and maybe finding a better fit for your skills and your goals. They say you owe your employer a conversation. No, you don't owe them nothing. At the end of the day, it's a business transaction. They don't sit you down for a heart-to-heart, oh, Ron, I hope everything's going okay at home. They don't sit you down for these conversations when you're doing mass layoffs, right? So why should you feel obligated to talk to them before when you're looking for a new job and when you're considering your own options? I mean, am I right? I mean, you've probably heard about quiet quitting, right? It's basically when you start slacking off at work and you just do the bare minimum which your job requires, which if you think about it is exactly what they're paying you for, right? It's like saying, okay, what are my job requirements? Okay, I'm gonna do exactly that and not an ounce more. Yeah, at least 50% of the US workforce is doing it. And get this, some employers are responding by quiet firing people who do this. That's what a survey by resumebuilder.com found anyway. They asked 1,000 managers and found that 1 in 3 had fired someone for quiet quitting. Work can be so frustrating that you just want to rage apply to find any new job you can. Or maybe you just hate your job so much that you're in constant state of resenteeism and you're just unhappy. But you're too scared to quit because of the economy. Now, trust me, we've all been there. But it's not just up to you to fix these problems. Your managers, they need to help out too. They need to check in with you regularly. Make sure you're not getting burned out and create a positive work environment where you feel like you belong. Now, if you're feeling stuck in your current job, maybe it's time to start looking around and start thinking about what you really want to do with your life. Maybe strike out on your own. A Microsoft report from 2022 found that younger generations are more likely to want to be their own boss. They're done with being an employee, with 76% of Gen Z and millennials saying that they want to be their own boss. Maybe that's why we can't find enough people to work these jobs. Everybody's just become an entrepreneur. That's pretty cool though, right? But remember, being your own boss, it's not all fun and games. Elon Musk even said that running a startup is like chewing glass and staring into the abyss. All I'm saying is before you make any kind of drastic moves, make sure you really think about what you want out of your own career. Now, in the end, you're in charge of your own career. Don't let anyone manage it for you. But that's it for today's Fed and labor market update daily news report, the important Federal Reserve rate hike meeting and its impact on the economy. Plus this trendy new buzzword called rage applying that they're trying to push in the media mainstream. Anyway, make sure you guys get the word out. Hit the share button right now. Let me know if this video resonated with you. And also, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. Link is in the description down below this video. Appreciate you guys watching. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you guys on the next video.